This is Dan Riley for Sports Talk on Passionate World Internet Radio. Over the years, I've discussed a lot of projects that dealt with the uglier side of professional football, in spite of the fact that I am a lifelong fan. There was a reason for this. While it's a guilty pleasure to know what's really going on behind the scenes, it can also be horrifying, and for that matter, humanize the people involved in professional football. With football season around the corner, I want to discuss a video game that came out in 2005 that was to video games what Playmakers was to television and Any Given Sunday was to movies. Back in 2005, a video game called Blitz, the League came out that was really an interactive way to explore the dark side of professional football in the United States in a way we had never seen before. Featuring Lawrence Taylor and Bill Romanowski on its cover, basically a way to spit in the NFL's face after it gave exclusive video game rights to EA Sports. It put together an interactive experience that did a better job humanizing football players than anything else I can think of. For years, we've seen desperate attempts to cast a lot of athletes, not just football players, as perfect people with no flaws, that are basically saints, that are people that all of which our kids can and should look up to. It's really not a fair depiction. Nobody's perfect, and for that matter, we do know there are some cases where that just isn't true. And when Midway put together Blitz the League, it was refreshing for a change. You saw players deal with more problems than other NFL-sponsored video games that really didn't have the guts to discuss these problems. In Blitz the League, fictional athletes in an imaginary pro football league had to make tough choices with whether to take performance enhancers. One player running a fictional team had financial troubles. He was the team captain. And, of course, these imaginary football players wound up with legal problems, like doing stupid things like getting in bar fights and stuff. It addressed issues the NFL sweeps under the rug a lot. And a lot of these stories of the fictional league Midway came up with were inspired by real things that happened to NFL players. In a way, it was more real than any digital version of Barry Sanders or Peyton Manning could be. In seeing players deal with problems that a lot of us deal with at our jobs, it showed us that we are a lot more alike than we think we are. Maybe that's the reason the NFL didn't like playmakers. It wants people to believe athletes are on a higher pedestal than the rest of us. Every football player, even nowadays, deals with problems like this, and to suggest otherwise is foolish. But there's something comforting about seeing any professional athlete, for that matter, being humanized. Especially given we live in an age where everyone is bashing people with different views and in different walks of life. Midway was basically telling the NFL to humble itself, that we're all capable of doing bad things, and in the end, there was something worthy of applause in that endeavor. This is Dan Riley for Sports Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in, and so long.